we have the Patreon Q&A coming at you. We're gonna get synced up here. We'll decide if we want to talk about the 3DS thing. Well, I sync this up.
No.
He's like, no, I don't want to talk about it.
I'm fucking done.
A Super Nintendo 3DS.
I hurt and I'm done talking about 3DS iterations.
I don't know why, Ian. You don't love the 3DS iterations.
I love the 3DS. I just don't care.
No Scumbag Sell of the Week this week, I don't think. How can people discover the Patreon call-in number?
Oh, you go to www.patreon.com/CU podcast.
Sure.
And it is one of the tiers you can sign up for, and there will be a phone number where you can call in and leave a Q&A that we will play on the podcast.
Also on the Patreon, you can see the whole video format there as well.
Yeah, that's always been available on the Patreon since day one, and that is probably the biggest draw. You can actually watch the full uncut video podcast via Patreon.
Here's the first question. Ian, you want to get your finger on the slider just in case?
Hey, Pat, Ian. It's me, Rashid from Dubai. This is my second question. What do you think if Nintendo made a retro gaming subscription service for the Switch? It's like the PlayStation one where you pay a monthly fee and you get access to all the retro gaming library they offer. Do you think this kind of service will work? Will Nintendo ever attempt to do that? Or are they just gonna sell you the same Super Mario Brothers in every different console for their whatever they ask for $4.99 maybe? Or a subscription service will be much better. Thank you guys for the show. Peace.
Okay, kind of dropped out there, but
so
they're doing it. Their online service is going to include retro games.
Right, but I know what he's referring to, and my answer would be similar to, it would be basically yours. So Sony has a service called PlayStation Now, which for a certain amount every month, I think it's like $29.99 a month or something, or I don't know what the price is. I don't think it's that much. They actually give you streaming access to a huge library of PlayStation 3, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 titles. Nintendo's online service is going to do that, but they're going to trickle them in. So I think the question is really, if Nintendo did something like Sony did, would it work? I think the answer is yes, and it would work. It would work just fine because they're smaller games that they're streaming. It would be something that it would be easier to work with. But like Pat said, it's already basically worked into what they said they're going to do with their online service. They're going to drop each month retro games into the service.
They started saying you're only going to get one free every month.
But now they
said you're going to get a bunch.
Right.
We just don't know how many you're going to get. They said 8 and 16-bit.
Right.
So that means, hey, maybe you start off with 50 NES games and 50, 16-bit games, and that's a start. Obviously, then they got to get other companies on board and purchase the rights. But I think right now they're looking at it as just a bonus just to make sure to put it over top to make sure you get that whatever it is. It's not even $10 a month. It's less than $50 for the whole year, right? For the service,
it's $20 a year.
$20 a year?
Yeah,
that's it, and that'll get you.
Said. So unless they're doing it differently in Dubai, and I think they said that they were doing this the same worldwide, but I can't remember. Unless they're doing it differently in Dubai, that is kind of part of their online features already.
Maybe they'll do an add-on for if you want to get every single game that came out in the NES. Do we have the rights to? Maybe it's an extra $5 a month. Who knows?
They could do a plus plan or something. They could do a plus plan
because $20 a month for what they're a year for what they're offering with a selection of games where we don't know how many it's going to be. That's an insane deal. I'm going to sign up for that. Just so I can have games on the go with the Switch that are 8 and 16-bit. Like, who knows? Like, what if they said, okay, we'll throw in Star Fox 2 with the rest of the Super Nintendo games for an extra $6 a month? Would that be worth it to a lot of people? Probably. Just to have the convenience of that, I would probably do that. Again, to have a handheld console. That's the difference. The PlayStation one's not handheld for their Plus. So you guys got to be at home. This is everywhere. So thanks for the question again out there in Dubai, but I think Nintendo's getting there. I'm really surprised this year by the sudden turnaround of stuff like this, thinking the Super Nintendo Classic producing more, NES Classic coming back. I think Nintendo I think I said Reggie probably beat someone over the head with a baseball bat because there's definitely been a shift in thinking in the past 5 months on a lot of things.
Oh, don't worry, they'll poop their pants again soon enough.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, Ian Pat, this is Gizmo from California, and I have to wonder, what with the NES, SNES Classic being released, as well as many virtual games being released on Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Wii, as well as the Nintendo Wii U, such as Duck Hunt on the Wii U. Why do you think there haven't been any attempts, or at least any noticeable attempts, to mod a Zapper to work on an HD TV or a 2K TV? Is it because it's too expensive, too complicated? Maybe it's too hot. Maybe they just don't have the time. What are your thoughts? I'd like to know. Thank you, and goodbye.
Well, I don't think it's worth their time.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth their time. From what I understand, it's just not really doable. I have seen interesting hacks and tricks that do kind of allow people to use a light gun on HDTV. One I saw was like some sort of interesting reflection method or something like that. That does, kind of allow you to use a light gun. But I mean, you have infrared pointers and stuff now on your devices. Your Joy-Con could be, I believe, used to point at the TV potentially.
Sure.
They've used, the Wiimotes as zappers. I don't think they need to
mock up something old or older. With
right.
trigger.
They can do it with the technology they have now. They can do a reasonable facsimile.
There's not enough Zapper games people care about for it to make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like 3 or 4 Zapper games people probably actually play out of like whatever 14 only. You try playing Operation Wolf with the Zapper, it's terrible. And for Super Scope games, there's only like 6 to 8 Super Scope games, something like that. So it's like it's a very finite amount of games that they're gonna have to invest a lot of money in for a product that most people won't even care about.
Sure.
I mean, if we didn't do it, even though we will do the NES Marathon and a CRT with the Zapper games, if we lost the Zapper in the grand scheme of things, would people really care? They would get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to play Chiller every year, but people would get over it. The Zapper is sort of like a cool little bonus, but it's not essential, I think, to the experience at this point in time.
When you said play Chiller, I actually felt worse.
You
for
felt
a
worse
minute than I already do. Like my heart sunk.
Beefaroni. And we'll do one more or 2 more, depending on how this one is.
Hey, Pat and Ian. This is regular Nintendo. I was wondering what your thoughts were on game preservation with like the eShop and digital download only. Wouldn't it be cool if they had like a eShop Greatest Hits Volume 1 come out on physical media? That way we kind of preserve games for a little longer. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Yeah, I mean, I do, and that is something that worries me. That's, we discussed that earlier when we talked about limited run games, now being able to publish physical copies for the Switch. I am afraid that we are going to, lose a lot of the little games that were on DSiWare or WiiWare or the eShop. But the idea of a best of eShop is great. The problem is they're all different little publishers and companies, and getting everything together to make that doable would be really hard. I'd love there to be an easy solution, whether it's physical or digital, to just get the code out there, but I don't know what it is. I mean, I would certainly buy something like that if it was put out, but I think logistically it would be very difficult to do so.
Yeah, what Ian said, I guess. Otherwise, hold on to that Wii U console for 50 years and make sure you can play all those games out there. If you want to ask us questions, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/CUpodcast to ask questions audio-wise. You can still ask questions on Twitter. I know people in the comments like to get at us. Oh, you got to pay to ask questions? No, but if you want to be special, a little extra incentive. So we can hear your nice voice from Dubai. Give him up to Rush from Dubai. I mean, that's ridiculous. He's calling in from across the world. Technology is outstanding, right?
It is.